Today, we're diving deep into the history of one of the most overlooked coins in the world, the 1-cent coin. We all have them, but how much do we really know about them? Let's start from the beginning. The story of the 1-cent coin begins in 1792 with the founding of the U.S. Mint. The United States, just a few years old, needed its own money. Before the mint was established, coins from other nations circulated in the U.S., including Spanish dollars, British pounds, and French livres. But America needed something unique, something that represented its identity. To solve this problem, the U.S. government began minting its own currency, and in 1793, the very first 1-cent coin was struck. This coin was known as the chain cent, and it had a rather unusual design. On one side, it featured a chain of 15 links representing the 15 states that existed at the time. The other side depicted a flowing liberty cap, a symbol of freedom and independence. These first 1-cent coins were made of copper, weighed around 13.48 grams, and were a little larger than the modern 1-cent coin. Although they were in circulation for a short time, they marked the beginning of the coin's long history in America. Over the years, the design of the 1-cent coin has evolved, reflecting changes in American history and society. In the early 1800s, designs like the Liberty hat and the Classic hat appeared on 1-cent coins, but it wasn't until 1856 that one of the most iconic designs was introduced, the Flying Eagle cent. The Flying Eagle design, created by engraver James Longacre, featured an eagle soaring on one side and a shield with a ribbon reading 1 cent on the other. It was a moment of change for the coin. But as the country grew, so did the need for a coin that better reflected its expanding economy. In 1909, a breakthrough occurred. The U.S. Mint introduced a new design featuring a portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This was the first time a U.S. coin featured a real person, and it quickly became one of the most beloved designs in American coinage history. The Lincoln cent, as it's called, is still in circulation today, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in the world. Later in the 20th century, several variations were made to the reverse of the Lincoln cent, including the wheat ears and the shield design. The coin's current design, featuring a shield on the reverse, was introduced in 2010 to celebrate the history of American development and unity. While the 1-cent coin has a long history, it's often seen as the least valuable coin in the U.S. currency system. Today, it's worth just 1 cent less than a penny's worth of what it once was in terms of purchasing power. So, why do we even still have the penny? It costs the U.S. Mint approximately 1.8 cents to produce and distribute a single penny, making it a loss for the government to make them. Yet, despite calls for its elimination, the penny remains a staple of the American coinage system. Many argue that the penny still holds significant cultural value. For one, it is an iconic part of the American identity. In fact, it has also become a symbol of the power of small actions. It's often said that every penny counts. The penny also plays a role in the rounding of prices, especially in cash transactions where rounding to the nearest nickel happens in some countries. Even though the 1-cent coin may not hold much individual value today, its impact on the economy and society is much bigger than you might think. Let's take a look at its role in circulation. The penny is still widely circulated in the U.S. In fact, billions of pennies are produced every year. As of 2024, there were over 150 billion pennies in circulation. That's a lot of copper, zinc, and history packed into tiny little coins. While it's true that many people collect them in jars or toss them aside as worthless, the penny is still used in daily transactions. The Federal Reserve estimates that around 6 billion pennies are used in the U.S. each year. That's a lot of small change. And beyond just being a form of money, pennies are also key to charitable giving. Many people donate their spare change, including pennies, to causes that are important to them. Some organizations even have penny drives to raise funds for important social issues. So, does the 1-cent coin have a future? This question has been asked repeatedly, especially as inflation continues to rise and the cost to produce the penny goes up. Many countries, including Canada, have stopped producing low-value coins, and some argue that the U.S. should do the same. Proponents of eliminating the penny suggest that it would save the government millions of dollars annually, as well as reduce the environmental impact of mining the metals used to produce it. However, others argue that the penny still holds cultural value, and its elimination could lead to rounding issues in pricing. It's a debate that's been going on for decades. Some believe the penny will eventually be phased out, while others argue that it will continue to survive, albeit as a token of history. Whether we love them or hate them, the 1-cent coin has played an important role in American currency for over 2 centuries. From its early days as a symbol of freedom to its status as a cultural icon, the penny has left an indelible mark on U.S. history. Though its value today may seem small, its historical significance is enormous. And who knows? Perhaps one day, this tiny coin will become a collector's item worth far more than its face value. So, the next time you find a penny on the ground, remember, it's not just a small coin, it's a piece of history, a symbol of the past, and perhaps a glimpse into the future of currency. Now, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1960 penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln cents, which had been in circulation since 1909. The Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it quickly became a beloved and iconic design. For the 1960 1-cent coin, the obverse or front side still featured the image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, the 1960 penny carried the traditional wheat ears design, which had been in place since 1909. This was a time before the introduction of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design in 1959, which we see on modern pennies today. But here's the kicker: in 1960, a small change was made to the design of the coin that would have a big impact. For the first time in nearly a decade, the 1960 penny was minted in 2 different types, one with a small date and another with a large date. This difference is crucial for collectors. The small date variety has numerals that are smaller and closer together, while the large date variety has more spaced out, bigger numbers. For collectors, this makes the 2 versions of the 1960 penny highly desirable and valuable, but more on that in a bit. These 2 types were minted in the same year and even in the same mint facility, but they are not equally common. The large date variety is more common than the small date, which is far rarer and more sought after by collectors. Interestingly, the 2 types of coins were produced in different quantities. Most of the 1960 pennies were minted with the large date design, but a smaller portion, specifically from the Philadelphia Mint, featured the small date. The rarer of the 2, the small date, can be worth far more than its counterpart in excellent condition. The value of a 1960 penny can vary drastically based on its condition and whether it's a small date or large date. A well-worn 1960 large date coin in average condition might only be worth a couple of cents, barely more than its face value. However, things change when it comes to the small date variety. A 1960 small date penny, in uncirculated condition, can fetch anywhere from $10 to $50 depending on the coin's grade. If the coin is graded at a higher level, say MS65 or higher, it can be worth hundreds of dollars. For example, a 1960 small date in gem mint condition graded MS67 has been sold for well over $1,000 at auction. So, if you happen to have a 1960 penny lying around in your collection or pocket change, it's worth taking a closer look. Even if it's not in mint condition, the small date variety could still have some serious value to the right collector. While the 1960 penny may not be the most valuable coin in circulation today, it's still part of a much larger picture. The 1-cent coin, despite its low face value, continues to play a significant role in the U.S. economy. But here's something surprising: even though it's a small coin, the sheer amount of pennies in circulation makes it quite valuable in terms of volume. As of recent years, the U.S. Mint produces billions of pennies every year. In fact, there were more than 5 billion 1-cent coins minted just in 2023 alone. That means there are literally hundreds of billions of pennies in circulation across the country. At first glance, the 1-cent coin may seem insignificant, but when you think about it, all those pennies add up. There's an estimated $1.5 billion worth of pennies in circulation. And despite the rising cost of production, pennies still remain a crucial part of everyday transactions. People still use them for small purchases, and they're commonly donated to charities, especially in penny drives. However, the production of pennies costs more than the coin is worth. In 2023, it cost the U.S. Mint around 1.8 cents to make just 1 penny. So, you might be wondering, why does the government continue to mint them? Well, the penny is still useful for rounding prices, and its low face value can make exact change easier in some situations. Plus, many people view it as a symbol of American heritage, just like the iconic Lincoln Memorial. So, here's the big question: will the penny eventually be phased out? It's a debate that has been going on for years, with many people arguing that the cost of producing pennies outweighs their actual value in circulation. In countries like Canada, the penny has already been discontinued due to the cost of production exceeding its face value. But the U.S. has yet to make such a move, and the future of the penny remains uncertain. Some experts believe that the penny will eventually be phased out, while others argue it's here to stay, at least for now. While it's unclear what the future holds for the 1-cent coin, it's safe to say that the 1960 penny will always hold a special place in the hearts of collectors and history buffs alike. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone with a jar of loose change, the 1960 1-cent coin is an important piece of American numismatic history. From the variations of the small date and large date to its current value in the market, this coin represents both the past and the future of U.S. currency. Thank you for joining us today on this deep dive into the history, value, and significance of the 1960 penny. Don't forget to check your change, because you never know, that old penny might be worth more than you think.